Morning, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about safety in the shop and at the job site. My name is John Thompson. I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation talking about shop safety for you today. Let's start with asking this first question to understand shop safety. Why is shop safety important? The answer is that injuries occur in a workshop or at a job site. People think they know how to use tools properly and do not. They lack the proper training. They learn from others not properly trained. They are not aware of others around them. Basically, this is true if the shop has multiple people working in it. They're unaware of hazards in the shop or at the site. These could be things as simple as a floor not being swept, tool conditions, if a tool's basically in need of repair or sharpening, or sometimes they get complacent. There's the "it won't happen to me" attitude. They think that they will do just one quick operation of the tool. They're in a rush, they get distracted, they're tired or fatigued. All of those will increase your risk of injury greatly. There's also a lack of proper safety equipment, safety glasses, hearing protection, and this is an important one because it goes hand in hand with wearing safety glasses to protect your vision and prevent blindness. Hearing protection is important because I didn't take it seriously in my 20s. I wear hearing aids now in my 40s because I didn't take care to prevent that hearing loss. Face shields. These protect your face from things coming off, especially if you have tear out on a lathe or stuff coming at your face being spun off. That's where the face shield comes in handy. The footwear. If something drops on your foot, a steel-toed boot is definitely recommended. You don't want to be wearing cowboy boots, and you certainly don't want to be turning with a pair of cowboy boots on and have shavings go down your boot. Gloves. This will help you get a good grip on your tools. It'll help you get a good grip on your work and protect your hands as well from any flying debris. Proper clothing. This is an extremely important one. Do not work in a shop with shorts and the cowboy boots and thinking that, oh, well, I can do this and that's safety. It's not. What you're doing is you're increasing your risk of injury. Clothes do offer protection to some degree. Never, ever walk around your workshop in bare feet because you can pick up splinters in your feet, you could step on nails, or you could have something go through your foot, or have metal shavings go into your foot as well. Or if you drop something sharp on your foot, you're going to get a foot injury. So those are the reasons where injuries occur at a job site. There are impacts from a lack of safety that we need to pay attention to. Injuries are very important. Injuries you can face are amputations. This would be your hands and fingers, particularly from table saws, band saws, joiners, shapers, any kind of contact with a spinning blade or bit. Blindness, basically matter like shavings or both wood and metal getting thrown into your face and you don't have eye protection. Deafness, each tool you use is going to be very loud. Without the proper hearing protection, you run the risk of losing your hearing. Shops also have chemicals. There's no getting around it. You have solvents, you have paints, you have cleaners, all of which have the potential, if not used properly, to cause injury. Wounds. For instance, you could pick up something without a glove and you slice yourself open, or you're not using a tool properly. You can get wounded, especially if it's a hand tool or a chisel. You can get cut and have to go to the emergency room. Death is also another real possibility. Some of these tools and machines, if you don't know what you're doing, you can literally cause your own death by not using them properly. A lot of this stuff can be prevented by checking the tools, which we're going to talk about next, the damage to the tools. We're going to talk about basically broken blades. Check to make sure the blades are not broken. Check to make sure the motor is working correctly. Check to make sure that the electrical cords aren't frayed. If you damage a tool, it's going to carry a cost to replace that tool. And that can come out of your pay, depending on how the shop runs. There's also lost time while that machine or tool is repaired or replaced. So essentially somebody will have to come out, either fix the machine, or the owner will have to basically buy a brand new machine in its entirety. This could be a table saw or lathe. So you can actually see that there would be a real cost to that. The whole job could grind to a halt until that tool is replaced. There's a liability. You can injure someone. You can lose your job. There's damage to property. If you're at a job site and there's work being done and you're in a temporary shop, you can cause property damage by not working properly. And of course, there's workers' compensation claims. There are power and blade tool hazards associated with a shop. The table saw is one of the tools that you have a healthy respect for. Injuries can occur by operating without a blade guard, an improper stance while at the table saw, a floor not properly swept, which will affect your stance, and kickback. We're basically using the T-square and root fencing combination, a lack of a riving knife to prevent the cut itself from pinching. Your fingers are simply too close to the blade and you're not using a push stick. This is true during ripping and cutting operations. Again, ripping warped or cupped wood, which can cause a kickback, and not disconnecting the power to the saw when you're changing the blades. The bandsaw also faces the same potential for injuries, except excessive pressure on the blade will break it. Not keeping your fingers clear of the blade will also cause injury. You can also lose fingers just the same way. A router, shaper, and a drill. Now these are basically going to be tools that are spinning at high rates of speed, and these can actually grind up and mutilate your fingertips as well. It's not really amputations that would happen. And again, not using sharp blades and bits in your tools. That's another power tool hazard. It affects the quality of your work. You're going to get tear out, and you're going to be working harder, going to be putting strain on the motor and the tool itself. You have to unplug the tools when changing bits and keeping your fingers clear of all spinning blades and bits. Now, I have 3 rules on the right which are very important. No horseplay. The shop is not a place for you to fool around in. And you could do something that may be funny and somebody can get seriously injured. Pay attention to your work. This means no talking to anybody when doing any kind of operation of any power tool. Maintain a clean work area. This includes a swept floor to prevent floor slipperiness. It also means that stuff won't fall and distract you when you're using a table saw. Again, I want to point out that I have my 3 rules again from the previous slide. They are very pertinent to here as well, and this is in the solutions section of this presentation. First of all, what can we do? Well, proper training from someone with an OSHA certification. This means that somebody who's familiar with setting up your shop, somebody that's familiar with tool operations and machinery, training all your workers in safe tool use. Not just specific people who use specific machines, but train everybody in the safe use of all the machines in your shop. Knowing all the hazards that are in the shop and the work site and correcting those hazards, not turning a blind eye to them. There's accountability and discipline that has to be carried out in a shop. This means basically if you break a tool, why did you break the tool? And is it going to affect whether or not I keep you on as an employer? Or is it going to mean that it's going to come out of your pay to replace the tool? And the other thing to remember is that you are not an expert because you saw it on TV. There's a lot of stuff that happens on TV to make things clear and show processes, and just because somebody works with a tool a certain way does not make it the right way. Anybody at any age can benefit from safety training. Take breaks. Take breaks when you're tired or fatigued. I know I've said this before. When you're unable to concentrate or pay attention, very, very important, because your work is the most important thing, and that's going to prevent you from being injured. If you're upset about something, or if you are on drugs or alcohol, stay away from the machinery. please, you increase your risk of injury greatly, and you also run the risk of injuring other people by not focusing on what you have to do. Speak up. If you're not confident or trained in using a tool, say so. Ask to be properly trained before using any machine. Let a supervisor or foreman know if you find something dangerous. Again, the proper work gear, work boots with steel toes, hearing, eye, and face protection, and proper clothing. These are the solutions to help prevent injury in a shop. And no matter what happens, you're going to find all the conditions apply to any kind of shop you're in, whether it's a metal shop, whether or not it's a wood shop, or any other kind of place where fabrication takes place.